What's going on, everybody? I'm back. Oh Lord, I just sneezed before I started, so I'm still like feeling the effects. Like I feel like I want to sneeze again. But welcome, as you can see from the background, we're doing a movie review for. Uh, Get your way there. Yep, Final Destination Bloodlines. Now, as a Final Destination fan, right off the back, I would tell you this: this wasn't the weakest of the Final Destination movies. Um, I would say that honor still goes to Final Destination 3. I still think Final Destination 3 was the weakest of the Final Destination movies, but I get to more on that later. Uh, but that's not saying this movie was bad. No, by far, this movie is not bad. Uh, it's just movie. There are movies in the franchise that were still significantly better than this. Is what I was getting at. But that doesn't mean this was like horrible. Just means there was films that was better. So where do I begin? So Final Destination Bloodlines is a tribute to the past. It does pay tribute to the past movies, while also telling a new original story. So that combines with the past stories. So in this movie, we meet a young lady named Iris, who well, first of all, there's two people who gets premonitions, but I'll get to that in a minute. Um, so we're introduced to a young lady named Iris who is played by Star Girl, Star Girl from the CW. Her name is Breck Bassinger. I think that's how you say her name, but Breck, the girl who plays Star Girl from the from whatchamacallit, the CW series. We meet her, and she's I think the years in the 1960s. This is also part 6, by the way, even though it's called Final Destination Bloodlines. This is also considered part 6. Yeah, we're in 1968. So as you can see, kind of fading in right here underneath the skull, the main catalyst for this film is that see if I can get my arm to fade out again. You kind of saw the little tower that the skull is situated on. There you go. Yeah, there you go. You see the tower right there? That tower is the catalyst for this film. In 1968, we meet Iris, and she basically goes there with her fiance, who what's his name, Paul. So she goes with her fiance Paul, and this is like a newly constructed, tower and whatnot. And of course, in Final Destination fashion, there is a premonition. A disaster is about to happen. Like I said, you saw the picture right there. You get it. You could get what's about to be the disaster, right? So she gets a premonition about this disaster. Obviously, for spoiler reasons, I won't tell you what the premonition was, but there was a premonition about the disaster. But what I will tell you is the key people here is Iris and a young boy. So the one thing I liked how they handled this scene, because it does something that we never seen before in the Final Destination franchise with the premonition part of it anyway. But once the premonition ends, we jump into the present where we meet what's her name? Stefani Reyes. Stefani Reyes is our main protagonist of the movie, who is revealed to be the granddaughter of Iris. And I know once you see the film, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, how? I was confused too. Because when you see her and you see that she's the main character, you like, Wait a minute. We know Iris is yeah, how did we get here? But it's okay. I'm just, it's just a joke, but um I do love that it's a blended family like that. But we are introduced to Stefani and her estranged family. Um Stefani's mother is played by the lady from the Call of Duty games, who play what's her name? Uh where is she at? Raya. Her name is Raya Calisthenic. I think I said her name right. Oh, I didn't recognize her, but she was that crazy lady from Home Alone 3. Okay, but yeah, she's from the Call of Duty game. I think in the Call of Duty she played she played Kate, who works with for our Call of Duty fans, who works with Captain Price and stuff. Um, she plays the mother of Stefani. She's estranged because of the upbringing from Iris, and basically the plot of the movie is that once we get to this point, it's basically about the fact that Iris um has basically she had two kids, a son and a daughter, who she grew up realizing that death was coming for her in her bloodline. And Stefani, the main character, she's played by this because she basically is having these nightmares about the premonition. So she goes seek answers, which leads her to her grandmother, who reveals that who reveals that, like in all Final Destination movies, where she did save a lot of people. But the way how they switch it up in this movie is that the people she saved, hence the bloodlines part of this title, is that she saved a lot of people versus the other movies where they only saved a couple of people. She saved a lot of people that created generations of families. So we are told that death, as we seen in the trailers, death is coming after these people because they was never supposed to be born, because death's design was that they was all supposed to die. The people who would have birthed these people was supposed to die in that incident right there in that tower, but because the premonition, now we got a whole generation, and it's just like previous movie, it is working. It takes a lot of cues from Final Destination 2 because it's like working backwards, but it give a new twist on it where the people that are being targeted by age. So that's the difference in this one. That we got one that's targeting how death is targeting people. He's going by the age, so he's starting with the oldest and working his way down to the youngest. There we get the return of Tony Todd's character, who once again plays William Bloodworth, who gives them the advice, and through him, we do get mentioning of the legacy characters from the previous films. Um, we even get confirmation on Kimberly's status, I should say, as if you fans of Final Destination knows that even though we was told that part 3 explanation of Kimberly was not canon, we never got an official in movie recognition of her until now. So yes, her status or whether or not that event in Final Destination 3 was canon or not is finally confirmed within movie. Um, and I love Tony Todd's part because he delivers a line that's it's like ironic because of his passing, and when you see the movie, you'll understand why I mean, because it's like, dang, he's right about it, because you do never know, you never know. So from there, they work to try to figure out, basically how to stop and cheat death. Of course, death is a evil asshole, and he eventually, he gets what he want in the end. Um, since this is my first ever review on the Final Destination movie on my channel, I love that they keep the theme in the movies. Every movie, the theme is you really can't cheat death. You only could cheat it so many times because eventually we all have to die. We all have to die eventually. So, the main theme is that how long can you cheat death before death finally does take you, right? But then again, somebody, they do talk about, somebody. But yeah, that's the overall theme of it. Um, of course, death kills people in brutal fashion. So the gore and violence of the Final Destination films is there. I like the acting, so I'm gonna just get straight into it. What I like about the movie, I like the acting. I like that it feels like a Final Destination movie. The pace and build up to the what's going on. I think it's the same. I don't think it was even the movie was even long. I think it keeps they keep the length of the movie the same as the previous movies. I think every single movie is the same runtime because it doesn't take long for everything to get going, and then we get to the end. So it keeps with the theme of the Final Destination movies. Um, I like the pacing, I like the acting, I like the CGI and the visuals and the gory kills. Call me sick, but that's what we came to Final Destination to see gory kills and get traumatized. And there's a lot of homages to Final Destination 2 and Logs. So yeah, I got re-traumatized all over again. Um, but now the things I didn't like. I didn't like that we had a missed opportunity with the whole bloodlines thing. I would feel like this was an opportunity to bring back people. Um, because there are people that could be brought back who didn't, pass. Um, but there was opportunities there. There were opportunities there. Um, so far, Final Destination 2 is the only movie that connects with another movie with returning characters from the previous movie. We haven't had that since Destination 2, and I thought, well, maybe this would be the perfect time since it's called Bloodlines, and maybe, just maybe, that Bloodlines refers to that people were born from the legacy characters. Um, but they're not. But they do take that. It is that concept. So yes, they are born. The concept that I thought it was going to be, where the kids are related to somebody who's cheated death, is true, but it's just not from the legacy characters like I thought it would, and I'm kind of disappointed about that. Um, I will say I'm glad how they treated Tony Todd's character. I'm glad that he didn't just you know get. I'm glad how they treated his character. Um, and and they do pay tribute to him at the end. It is in memory of Tony Todd at the end of the movie. Um, um, the it just I didn't like that we didn't get to use legacy characters. I didn't like the fact that it feels once it felt underwhelming, and I didn't haven't felt underwhelmed since Final Destination 3. But it was not as bad as Final Destination 3. But it kind of, at sometimes, the kills were cool. Like there was a lot of cool kills, but there was a lot of some that were just like, eh, okay. I mean, that wasn't really Final Destination. You used to find. I say that like that's a real word, but I mean, you're used to Final Destination being like the gory kills, like unnatural ways death would kill you, right? Like death is really pissed at you. But it the movie, if you look at the past, most of the kills in every Final Destination movie are in line with just gruesome and out of this world. But this movie, like part three, just had some that was just like, okay. So that's two negatives right there. But then, yeah, like I said, at times I felt like the movie was failing to capture my interest, and there was just a lot of missed opportunities. Um, Now I do say this is going to be a weird negative because I did just say I like the acting from everyone, but my other negatives is that I just didn't have a connection. I didn't feel a connection for these characters with good reason, given the ending. Um, because it with part one and two, you was connected to them through the events, and you was even happy to see some of them return, and well, at least one person return in part two. But even with the characters in part two, I was connected with. Part three and this movie is the only two movies I felt where I didn't really connect well with the characters, and though the movie was okay and all that type of stuff, it was just like I didn't really care these characters live and die really, and that's how I felt here with these characters mostly. Like I would say Stefani, she's like the only person I truly cared about, but I didn't care about a lot. Like with with the first two movies, I didn't want any of them to die because they was just good people who didn't deserve to die that way. And then part three, I didn't really care. Like watching part three, I was like, oh okay, I didn't really care. None of them live or die, whatever. And here it's the same way. Like almost everybody, um, almost everybody I didn't really care. Like to be honest, I really only cared about Stefani. Yeah, and Stefani's mother, the lady who played Kate from Call of Duty. Them two people are the only people I really cared about. Everybody else I really didn't, because they didn't really have much screen time. So that's another negative, that some of the characters didn't have enough screen time to be well thought out. Some of them was just there to be cannon fodder. And that was another thing too, was that I didn't like that how quickly we were just running through these characters. Some of these people only had a couple of scenes and a couple of lines, and then they were dead. And it was just like, okay, I get it's Final Destination, but they didn't. Nobody really got killed that quick. At least in part one and two, we at least got some time with the characters to really connect with them before they was killed. But then they was killed. In this movie, they it's like it's worse. That aspect of this movie is worse than part three, because part three we at least did. I will admit we did get to connect with the characters of part three, but we really didn't get to connect with anybody in this movie but Stefani. Um, and maybe Iris. She's like the closest person that you really get to connect with. Like everybody else, everybody else they really kind of make them unlikable. Even like the dad, I didn't like the dad, because the dad, he was just, even when everybody finally believed, where enough death happened to make everybody believe that death was really coming after them, he still denied it. Speaking of which, that also was a plot point to that people who weren't connected to the bloodline, like a wife or a husband, were not targets. Only people who was actual blood descendants of Iris, were targets. Blood descendants of Iris, which means they blood descendants of Iris and of Iris children. Anybody that Iris children married or was in a relationship with was spared. So that was another concept. But overall, that was my negatives. My negative, once again, just run through the negatives. Um, Character connection issues. Um, the underwhelming, the somewhat underwhelmingness of the movie, but not as bad as part three. But the fact that it gets another negative for the fact that we're coming back to the character connectedness, is that it, for the fact that part three made me feel, after this movie I felt I was connected more to part three characters than these characters, is saying a lot, because part three to me is by far the worst of the franchise. Like I put part three dead last because it was just generally boring. Like other than just the gruesome kills that was in line, like part three had good Final Destination like kills, but that was it. Like the story, the deaths, the characters, I really didn't care for. I didn't care for any of them. I didn't care for anybody. But we did get to connect with them more. I still just didn't care. Like that's the one thing that this movie got over part three, is that at least I cared about at least two people, whereas part three I didn't care about anybody, even though I connected with them. But the fact that I was still able to connect with them is better than this movie. But like I said, the connectedness, Not enough time with characters. Characters just was there for kind of father way too fast. Everybody was douchebags and unlikable. Yeah, overall, I would give this movie. Um, Sorry for making it 20 minutes long, but it was a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. Um, I'm giving this movie a 6 out of 10. Um, Big ups, 6 out of 10. Which means it's barely is 1 point above mid. This movie, it had it gone on, I fear that had this movie gone on longer than it did, it would have became a mid movie. It would have been like a 5 out of 10. But because it stayed the same length as the rest of the movies, and it was at least a little, it was likable enough for me to give it a 6. And if you haven't seen my previous videos, you know that 6 means that's a movie I would actually, anything a 6 or more is a movie I would buy on DVD and watch it again. Yes, I will watch this movie again because it was at least a 6 and up entertainment type movie. But would I watch it a lot of times over like part 1 and 2? No, I would even watch I would even watch like the what's that, part 4 and 5 more than I would watch this one. I would watch part 2, 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 over this, but I will watch this over 3. 3 I rarely care about. Like I won't even watch 3. And just to be a retrospect, the reason why I won't watch 3, because part 3 is like just to give a retro review quick one. Part 3 is a 4 out of 10 for me. I really didn't like part 3. It was 4 out of 10. So FYI, and if you really, just let me know in the comments down below if you want to know like what would I rate the other movies. Like I said, I give this a 6 out of 10. But as you want to know what I would give the other Final Destination films, I would just let me know in the comments down below, and I would let you know in the comments what I would give the other Final Destination films. But to just give you a freebie, Final Destination 3 was like a 4 out of 10. But again, if you enjoy my movie review, you let me know in the comments down below as well. And if you want to see more, you hit this button right here where you see my name for more of my movie reviews. And if you enjoyed the video so much and want to support the channel, all you gotta do is hit that like, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell, do all those great things, because when you do, it helps me get to my goal of 10,000 subscribers so we can move the goalposts even further. And as always, hit you on these videos for more of my amazing content. But going anywhere because now I got some reactions to get to. Peace, 2 fingers.